So I'm trying a new thing where I'm gonna record an audio voiceover of the blog post. I don't know how well it's going to work, but I just thought it'd be fun, and it doesn't add much more time to the blog post creating process. So thought we'll just try it out. Maybe one day I can hire someone to like make an animation. I could post it on YouTube or something, or just put a video on my site because I don't really want to post on YouTube, right? That's like, you know, that's that. I have my own website. I don't need YouTube, right? That's the idea. Anyway, language learning log week 1. I love watching/reading language learning content. This is expected for me considering my reasoning for wanting to learn a language in the first place. I started playing music because I heard it made you smarter, but I hated high school band because I wasn't allowed to play. Even in rehearsal, like priority for the limited drums that the band had were given to upperclassmen, even though like throughout school, like in elementary and middle school, we were expected to bring our own drum. They just didn't want us to, because like everyone had a drum, like we had to have a drum, so it didn't really make any sense. But anyway, since I couldn't play, I hated band, so I decided like to keep myself sharp. I would start learning a language. Maybe that doesn't really make much sense, but that was what I was thinking. I considered the best language for this goal would be Mandarin Chinese, since it's considered one of the hardest languages for English speakers. It's the most spoken language, and I wanted to learn more about China. I switched, though, after about a year of study to Japanese for a few reasons. Firstly, I studied from the perspective that each character had a unique pronunciation and meaning. Now obvious to me, each character's pronunciation and meaning is highly dependent on the word. I felt that I held this perspective for too long and that I had somehow screwed myself with that. Secondly, Japanese also has Chinese characters. The Chinese characters are also called a script. It's kind of like a general term for a character set, like a set of characters that you use for writing for a language. So Chinese characters are a script in Japanese, and then they have two other alphabets, which are more like English, where they have like a limited number of characters. Those are called alphabets are also scripts. So that's how that umbrella term works. I thought the Chinese characters were cool. By the way, Chinese characters in Chinese are called hanzi, which I use later on to just. It's shorter, so I'm going to use that term. I thought hanzi were super cool, so Japanese kanji, one of the 3 Japanese scripts, which are loaned from hanzi, were a fine replacement to me. Thirdly, once I got tired of Duolingo, I started using language partners. My language partners were very nice and I believed helped me learn Chinese much faster than before. However, in a way, they were too nice and wanted to get to know me too well, which made me very uncomfortable. And to this day, I'm still a little uncomfortable about it. So when WeChat updated their terms of service and locked my account, I didn't go through the effort to fix it, to be honest. I have felt guilty about it, but I don't know what to do. It's been like years now, so I don't know. Fourthly, I found it difficult to find engaging Chinese immersion material, but I found it really easy to find engaging Japanese immersion material, anime. Switching to Japanese was difficult, but my knowledge of Chinese characters did help me a bit. I've been studying Japanese off and on now for about 4 years. I've enjoyed it for more than just the technical aspects of the language that was really my initial draw. I should also note I studied Spanish each of my 4 years of high school, but I wouldn't say I know Spanish well, except for my ability to read to some extent. Speaking, writing, listening, definitely don't know well. Coming from my perspective, though, I'm probably more interested in the science of language learning, figuring out what makes a language learning method effective and why, Generally, this is why, despite how long I've been studying for, I still only know maybe elementary Japanese. I'd say I'm on the transition from N4 to N3. That's the JLPT scale, like what they use in Japan. A2 to B1 on the CEFR, like the European language scale. And in plain English, upper beginner to lower intermediate. At least that's what I hope to believe. Uh, this interest is part of the reason why I've been developing a language learning app tutor engine for the past 5 years. I've been developing it heavily off and on, and it's had many rewrites, to be clear. So, like, I don't think I've been working on the same thing for 5 years and, haven't finished it. I mean, I have been, but, it's not, I'm just trying to make excuses. Anyway, this summer I will finish it. That's what I tell myself. Though, as you may think as well, I think, how can someone who is basically monolingual possibly sell a language learning app? Yeah, I justify it to myself by considering that the experience of not knowing a second language could be lost to someone who already knows 2 or more languages, and that I'm going to hire people to help create the actual explanations and exercises / teaching material in general. However, I'm also aware I'm just coping, so this summer I'm going to try to get to at least B2 Japanese and finish the app. That's upper intermediate Japanese. That may be unrealistic because that's like full 2-time jobs, or 2 full-time. That's like 2 full-time jobs. I think I said it right the first time. Maybe I didn't. And I corrected myself. I don't know. Anyway, but university and trying to still have life is also like having 2 full-time jobs. So I should be used to it. I also read research papers, usually for school projects, to be clear. But the research papers are for like the project is for the app. It's for school, for grade, for the app. So it's like 2-timing. That's not the right term, I think. Okay, but anyway, I don't really follow specific researchers except for Professor Ryan Baker. But my favorite popular creators in the language learning space are Livakivi. I don't think I could follow his learning method. He uses like Anki. Like he studies really hard, like every day for a long time. And to me, his method seems boring. I don't think I could handle it. At least the Anki part. He does a lot of immersion stuff now, but for like a long time he just did Anki, and I tried that and it didn't work. Other than Livakivi though, there's Native Lang. It's not really language learning focused, but he talks about like languages in general, and right now he's doing a series on animal linguistics, which is super cool. There's also Zidnaf. He's also not really language learning focused, and he doesn't really post anymore, but his videos are fun, kind of like Native Lang's, but with less animation quality. There's also Artifexian. He used to do a lot more conlang stuff, like a human. Well, all languages are human generated or created by humans, but artificially created by humans, like non-natural languages, you'd call them. So like languages for fantasy worlds, like I think Elvish is one, and I'm blanking right now. But anyway, Jo Renee Languages. She does vlogs about her language learning, and I enjoy those. Jerry Register. It's a little clickbaity with the AI stuff, but I respect his grind, and I feel like I got good value out of his videos. He does good research, in my opinion. It's decent. I don't know. I didn't check the research, but I thought it was good. Steve Kaufman. He's also a little clickbaity at times, but he's a good communicator, and he has a good theory / hypotheses about language learning, and most recently Richie. I'm not really interested in Richie's other content, but his most recent 2 videos, he started a challenge where he's going to study Japanese as much as possible for 100 days before taking a trip to Tokyo, Japan. Seeing him and other creators finally got me to start this language learning log out of just jealousy. Almost a month ago, I found out that Steve Kaufman was the one who founded Link. I had sort of disregarded Link before, but seeing that he was the one who founded it and thinking of the pop sources, he proposed the most in-depth and researched learning technique ideals. So I thought it would be good to look back on. Previously, I saw Link's library thinking it was all they had, which it might have been at the time, I don't know, and that it was boring. When I tried to use it anyway, I got paywalled like 2 minutes in, got annoyed, and stopped. This time, I just got the subscription to try it out. Afterwards, using the system was pretty nice, actually. The best feature, in my opinion, is the ability to import from popular sources like YouTube and Netflix. Netflix only if the subtitles are available, which is unfortunately often not the case for Japanese. So it's alright it's mostly for YouTube. It's kind of hard to use with Netflix, in my opinion. For example, I was able to learn the lyrics to both Paper Moon by Tommy Heavenly 6 and Parallel Line by Sayuri. I butchered that probably. Anyway, both songs also did not have any subtitles on YouTube, so Link used AI to automatically caption them, and they did pretty well from what I can tell. You can't see in the video, but there's a screenshot of Link showing the Paper Moon YouTube video playing in a box with a Japanese sentence, Yume o miute. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry. I haven't reviewed this in a while. Oh wait, but I can. Okay. Miyushite. Okay, I'm gonna try the sentence. Yume o miyushinate mayota toki. In Link's sentence view, pulled up showing words I'm still learning, highlighted with their definitions shown below. They also appear when hovered. So like miyushinate means lose sight of, not see, overlook, miss, according to Link. And mayota means be perplexed, be puzzled, lose way, go astray, according to Link. It also includes a translation, when you lose sight of your dream and feel lost. That's what the Japanese sentence means. It's not like a full sentence. Like there's like, if you were to write that in English, you'd have like a comma and then. It's like a preposition. But anyway. And then there's another screenshot of the lyrics to Parallel Line in Link with the same kind of information pulled up in the same view. The sentence this time is Kimi no kuchibiru kara koberu or kobore dasu kotaba ni naritai. I personally think this line goes hard. So I'm going to try to explain what you need to know to be able to read it too, even if you haven't studied Japanese before. It's probably not perfect, but I'm going to try. So firstly, you need to recognize that kimi means you, and it's got like some sense of some level of camaraderie to the person that you're referring to. And then recognize no after a noun creates an adjective-like thing, meaning like owned or controlled by the preceding noun or the noun before it, noun before no. Recognize that a adjective-like thing is directly before a noun like, or that an adjective-like thing, I'm gonna have to fix that. I wrote that wrong. Adjective-like thing before a noun-like thing modifies the noun-like thing. So like kimi no kuchibiru, it means like, your lips. Oh wait, I didn't explain what kuchibiru meant. Kuchibiru means lips, by the way. So kimi, you, no, it's kind of like apostrophe s in some sense. So kimi no your lips, kuchibiru, kimi no kuchibiru, your lips. And then kara means that the preceding is where the subject of the verb phrase comes from. So like kuchibiru no, or kimi no kuchibiru kara means like from your lips. And recognize that when adding ru to the end of something, such like a linguistic stimulus, for reading text, for speaking like syllables that are like following each other, like a word, creates a recognizable, when adding ru to that linguistic stimulus, it creates a recognizable present tense form of a verb. Then the original linguistic stimulus that you added the ru to is likely the stem form of the verb. And then the verb koboreru is the present tense form of a verb meaning to spill. If you want to be really precise, you can say for things with liquid-like movement, space filling. It means to leave a container without control. So that's what koboreru means. It's the present tense form of the verb to spill. So then you'd think like, since in the sentence you just have kobore, when you add, since the ru is missing, and if you add the ru to kobore, then you can see that kobore is the stem form of koboreru. And then recognize that the stem form of a verb preceding another verb that is directly in front of the stem form, it combines the meaning of the stem form verb with the non-stem form verb. So I'll explain what the non-stem form verb in this sentence is. Dasu. So dasu is the present tense form of a verb that means like to take something out from something. So kobore, the stem form of koboreru, to spill. Kobore dasu, it means to spill out from something. And then recognize that a verb that is not in a polite form. So there's polite form in Japanese, but there's no polite form in this sentence. Before a noun can modify the noun to have properties of the whole preceding verb phrase. So kobore dasu kotoba, or wait, I didn't explain kotoba yet. I'm sorry. Kotoba means a word or words. Nouns in Japanese don't have like plurality all the time. Sometimes some verbs or some nouns do have plurality baked in, but not all of them. Like watashi tachi like means we instead of just I, stuff like that. But that's not like for most nouns, that's not a thing. So in this sentence, kimi no kuchibiru, your lips, kimi no kuchibiru kara, from your lips, kimi no kuchibiru kara kobore, I should finish. Kimi no kuchibiru kara kobore dasu, falling out of your lips, and then kotoba, words that fall out of your lips. So, kimi no kuchibiru kara kobore dasu kotoba means words that spill out from your lips. And then ni indicates that the preceding is where the action verb or action / verb is going towards. And then we get some more conjugation. So recognize situations where we're placing. You need to be able to recognize situation where we're placing ritai with ru creates a recognizable form of a verb that the original linguistic stimulus turns the verb into an adjective-like phrase describing the desire for the phrase to occur. All right. So now we'll get to the verb that's used on. Naru is the present tense form of a verb meaning to become. Okay, all right. And then I'm just going to go with the last point. Recognize that in Japanese, if one does not specify who they are talking about, it's not otherwise obvious, they are likely talking about themselves. Okay. So, kimi no kuchibiru kara kobore dasu kotoba ni naritai. So, the naru becomes, or naru, the present tense form of the verb meaning to become, becomes naritai. So then it's a desire to become. Ni says that everything before it is what is going, like what you want to become. So you want to become kimi no kuchibiru kara kobore dasu kotoba, words that spill out from your mouth. And then naritai to say like the desire to become part. So that if you, without further context, you would say that kimi no kuchibiru kara kobore dasu kotoba ni naritai is the desire to become the words that spill out from your mouth. But since in Japanese, if you don't specify who you're talking about, and it's not otherwise obvious, you're likely talking about yourself, then it's I want to become the words that spill out of your mouth. And it's not required for reading, but if you want to reproduce or learn to recognize Japanese pronunciation, from what I understand, you should pay attention to the syllables / consonants and vowels, the spacing between syllables, and at least to a moderate extent, the intonation. It's called pitch accent for Japanese. It's like which syllables are higher or lower pitch in each word for Japanese. When I'm pronouncing these words, I don't know the pitch accent, so don't rely on my pitch. Okay. I might be correct sometimes because I don't know, chance. But probably not. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I particularly thought it went hard, but I didn't really pay much attention to that line in the song before I knew what it meant. But now that I understand what it means, probably one of my favorite lines in any Japanese song. I heard that the song's also an anime opening, so I might watch that anime, but not now, but maybe later. Looking back at LinkU, or like what we saw in the LinkU screenshot, or what you heard about what I said about what was in the LinkU screenshot, you may notice that LinkU only provides definitions of words and nothing about grammar. And that 9 of the 15 required skills that I outlined are more about grammar than words, which is something LinkU would then not be able to explain. So they've been missing over half of what I think is important for being able to understand the sentence. LinkU can also only tell the difference between words by their textual representation. So, for example, kobore is a different word in Linkyu than koboreru, despite it being just the stem form, like a different conjugation of koboreru. So, yeah, for different conjugations of the same verb or adjective, adjectives in Japanese also sometimes conjugate as well, like e adjectives. Linkyu and their users have to track basically the same thing multiple times. So it creates more work for Linkyu and it creates more work for the users, because for each word in Linkyu that you get, you have to like mark whether you know it or not. And then if you use the review feature, which I don't, then it'll show up there. Then even though like you have to repeat the textual representation multiple times, you may think like, oh well, there are only a certain number of conjugations for each word, so eventually every representation can be tracked, and thus the approach is still sound. Unfortunately, in Japanese, words can be conjugated indefinitely, so thus the limit to the number of textual representations for a given verb is actually infinite. So in my view, that it kind of breaks the this technical soundness of the approach. But Linkyu's philosophy is that through enough input, one will learn the grammar patterns naturally. Though I think they're just coping because they haven't found a better solution. I understand the cope though, because I myself have found the problem to be really hard. I do think the problem is solvable, but only because I have possibly deluded it myself into thinking I have a solution. While I would defend that my solution is not my delusion, I don't expect anyone, except investors. If you're an investor, it's true. I have the solution. To care until I can prove it. I intend to prove it with my app, Tutor Engine. I don't really want to criticize other platforms until I have something to back it up, despite how much I enjoy it, clearly. I do personally agree that languages can be learned through only input. To be clear, I don't think it's the most efficient without leveraging one's first language through explanations. But I don't want to make it seem that my current favorite language learning app, Linkyu, is faultless. Sorry. To be honest, I haven't used Linkyu every day since starting, but the reduction was necessary to not fail school, I think. I could be coping on that point since I've spent a few hours writing this blog post, but higher motivation is the point of this thing. And then I posted a graph of my activity, basically from April 5th to April 11th. I had pretty high activity. Then I stopped until April 15th, which I did some. I did a good amount. And then April 18th, I also did a good amount. Nothing in between, though. I had pretty low activity the 19th, the 20th, and yesterday and today. Yeah. But, I'm trying, okay? That's the point of this blog post. Unfortunately, I have been doing Duolingo pretty consistently due to the social aspect of trying to beat my brother's streak. And despite my hatred for Duolingo, I've had a streak from 3/31, 31st of March, to today. I did have one streak freeze on the 14th, but it was just a timing issue. I did it the morning, it was 1 a.m., something like that. I'm sorry. I did do an hour-long tutoring session for the first time this month, where we spoke in pretty much just Japanese the whole time. I found it challenging to create long phrases, but I felt decently comfortable, and it was very fun. I'm considering doing more tutoring sessions, but I don't know when, since it's hard for me to schedule in advance, because school. Anyway, generally the plan to continue this series is to share things I find cool over the week and talk about how I feel about my progress in a way that I hope can be useful to others. I plan to release a post every week on Sunday. This one's going out Saturday though because I want to. Have a good day, Clayton. Also, the thumbnail was by Toy War, or sorry, the Duolingo model in the thumbnail was from Toy War on Sketchfab. The rest was me, except for the dirt. That was also by someone else, but that was like on Polygon. They didn't require attribution, I think. I know it's bad, so it's not really like I don't like the thumbnail. You don't have to like the thumbnail. I think it's funny though, but I don't think they're too worried about their attribution on that. Anyway, yeah, have a good day.